Hi, hear you, see you, everything is good. Oh no, where did you go? There you are. Hello. Haha, I found you again.
Welcome to Book Club for Movies, everybody, for the week of July 26th. I'm Ryan Miller, and righting wrongs himself, Man Amber.
Ooh.
See?
Which wrongs did I write this time?
I don't know, but the system works. You're no longer the drunken master.
That's a wrong that is it's wrong to be right about, and it's right to be wrong about.
There it is. On Book Club for Movies, where we watch one movie a week. This month, one action movie a week, and then sometimes take a week off and talk about it here. You can find us at podcast at bookclubformovies.com. It sounded like I said bodcast, I think, with a B.
Yeah, dude cast.
I did not.
No.
We took a week off. We're back. Everything's fine, I think. Matt, if you're being held hostage by your employer, blink twice, I guess. That's a lot.
It's been a challenging couple of weeks for me at work, along with the fact that and I cannot remember where I have and have not talked about this. I talked about it everywhere, but I fell down the stairs like a very
right.
It was very graceful.
Unrelated to the previous movie we did.
Yeah, they call me Nancy Graceful. I don't know why.
Canceled.
Yeah, don't even get the joke. I'm not familiar. I hurt my arm real bad. So I've got to do stuff, get MRIs done and all that.
That's still, so we haven't talked a lot either, but yeah, you're still in the process of figuring that out?
Yes, because I have MRIs are not easily scheduled right now. So I have like months to go before I can go get an MRI done because it's not an emergency. So,
well, I was led to believe that it will be somewhat of a wacky process involving a bunch of surgeons and doctors that you've grown to love over time.
Yep.
But might be saddened by a loss at some point.
It could happen. All I know is that one of them is probably gonna have a limp. Gonna be surly, really straightforward.
I would hope so.
But brilliant, of course.
It's great. 6 seasons deep into Scrubs, and I just can't. Yeah. Everything is a shade of it.
It's the best show in the world. Did you get to the episode where Cox's house for the like? There's like a whole bit where Cox is Dr. House because he has a cane.
Oh, shoot! I've gotten to which is definitely one of the things I love that the show does is they'll reference another show like Scrubs or sorry. Well, they do reference their own show. That's true.
That's true.
Like
Grey's Anatomy
or House. Yeah. And then they'll be riffing on that for the episode. So I have got to a House episode. I don't know if they go back to that.
I think it's brought up once or twice. My favorite. I know we're getting off track here, but I do.
No, we couldn't possibly.
My favorite running gag throughout the show. Not my favorite, but one of my favorite things is Dr. Cox's like obsessive hatred for everything that has to do with Hugh Jackman. I don't know, it's so funny to me, but it is.
I want to say that comes a little bit later. Yeah, there have been a few jabs.
It comes up 3 or 4 times overall, but it's just one of those like, and everything I hate includes everything that Hugh Jackman did.
And that's your little TV volleyball teaser, everybody. I'm sure that'll come up here. I feel like we're due, even though we have at least like a month's worth of shows in the hopper. We've been talking.
Yeah.
So it'll probably still be a bit, maybe even off schedule. I feel like that happens every 4 months or so. But TVVB, let that be a lesson to you.
But today it's not about TVs.
No.
It's not about VBs. It's about righting wrongs. It's about doing things correctly for the safety and sake of those around you.
Excellent. You're segueing into your own synopsis. Don't let me stop you.
Okay. That's the perfect in. Thank you very much. Righting Wrongs coming at you an hour and 37 minutes. Written by Chek Honzetto and Barry Wong. Directed by Corey Ewan. Starring Biao Yuan, Cynthia Rothrock, Melvin Wong, Ray Xiao, Wu Ma. Your book club for movies synopsis for Righting Wrongs. When a lawyer becomes jaded towards the justice system after witnesses of his are murdered before they can testify, he decides to take the law into his own hands while simultaneously being tracked by a police officer.
And by way of sequel to our names disclaimer, I saw you laughing, I think, at yourself.
Oh,
at
yes.
the top of the synopsis there already.
I gave up.
Added to, I can't believe I missed this last time, but added to our disclaimer of just courtesy names to first name wrong, last name wrong, to mispronunciations. I somehow, and I think this is where I'm running into trouble also using IMDb as liberally as we do here, I omitted the use of stage names. So that too is causing some of the confusion, I'm sure, because certainly it seems like they choose different stage names depending on area and time as well. In fact, our lead here, Mr. Yuan Biao, gosh dang it,
Biao,
went by, I think, Jimmy and Timmy and a few different ones that were Jackie-esque, let's say.
Sure.
Like his big brother, which I'll explain in a bit. Before
Okay.
finally settling on Yen Biao, which also not his actual name. He, like many of his fellow classmates, took the name of his master, Yu Jim Yuan, which I think is actually just Yun.
I think it's Yun. Yeah, like I've
Yeah.
heard people say Yun. Yun.
We're gonna say them all, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, it does extremely.
It extremely matters, but
Yes.
we can't be bogged down by that. We want to talk about how great they are, and we just can't properly name them. So please go to IMDb and make assumptions.
Yes.
Yeah.
All due.
With all due respect. Yeah.
All due respect.
Yeah. So we're free and clear for the whole show.
We are free and clear. So I chose this movie for a number of reasons, and I think first in my head, it was kind of a good bridge between, if we had done these movies chronologically, Drunken Master and The Perfect Weapon. And that's for a couple different reasons. Number one, it does feature a classmate of Jackie Chan's, which I can't believe I haven't actually mentioned this yet. But Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, Yun Biao, Corey Yin, Yun Hua, Yun Tak, Yun Tai, Yun Mo, I'm sure you recognize some of those names at least, all attended the China Drama Academy, which was a Peking opera school, but it's an acting school, essentially. But back then, kids were basically dropped off on kind of a permanent basis at the acting school.
Sure.
And that's how it went with, like, I want to say Jackie Chan was straight up adopted. Not even just military schooled out or acting schooled out like Sammo's parents did.
State-sponsored actor.
But within even that school, there became this little troupe called the Seven Little Fortunes that consisted of, as the story goes, the most talented of the group, which were these Sammo, Jackie, Yuan Biao. In fact,
the aforementioned.
Yes. Those four came to be known as kind of the brothers. In fact, you could probably even just keep that down to Sammo, Jackie, and Yuan from this movie. In fact, Biao. Maybe we go with Biao since so many other students took their master's name of Yun, and that's...
I like it.
Okay. So those three appeared in several different movies, actually. Project A, Wheels on Meals, which I did say that correctly.
Yeah, you did, and I had to think about it twice.
And I forget the last. It's been a while. Dragons Dang It. Dragons Dang It.
Dragons Dang It.
Which I have on queue now because Corey Yin, which was the fourth person I mentioned, but maybe not one of the brothers because he largely went behind the camera after some very notable roles in front of the camera. In fact, he's in
this movie.
The director of this movie is in this movie. He plays Bad Egg, who...
Not a good egg.
I don't know. I think it's a sloppy egg, maybe.
Oh.
Might be the... He's okay.
Runny egg.
That sounds bad, but no, he's just introduced as like the sloppy member of the police force that Rothrock kind of takes almost under her wing, but you feel like
it's so weird, right?
Yeah.
It's like she uses him completely for, in my head, she uses him because he is the one that probably knows the slimiest people that she needs to get a hold.
There you go. Yes.
That's how I read it. But yeah, no.
But also is moldable. He's so,
he wants to be better than he is. He's just a putz.
His dad is a police chief or something, or a sergeant,
like
out
a sergeant,
in the field
yeah,
or something.
Yeah,
and is all, he like calls him daddy, and he's like always trying to impress him. And yeah, I love his character. He's kind of the sad sack that is trying to be great. That, you know, when he does, spoiler alert for the movie Righting Wrongs, which I'll spoil this up front, I freaking love.
This movie is cool as hell.
But spoiler alert, Bad Egg does pass away, and you feel real bad when he does.
I don't know that he passes away. He passes. I like how he goes gently into that good night.
Okay.
I mean, it's not exactly that. But I have to tell you, like, while I was watching this, I
had no idea.
I had to go downstairs and show. So, okay.
Wait, when you went down the stairs, is everything, are you all right?
Yeah, I made it this time.
Okay.
I mean, I made it last time too. I just made it faster than I intended, and with far more danger.
You're like Yen Biao.
I was just clumsier, dumber, uglier, less talented, and with no ability to save myself.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
It's a good-natured joke to begin with, and now I just feel bad.
Yeah, you should. And I'm still a good-natured joke, but
too soon.
I am a joke, and I can't stop looking at my nipples.
So
okay.
That makes two of us.
I am topless right now. No, yeah. So this movie, I want to finish what you're saying. What you were saying earlier.
Boy, am I ever going to?
Get back to it, because I want to talk about my history with this movie.
So how far back, how much do you want to know about the actors in here?
Go.
Let's just say the top three: the director and Rothrock. And
I am very familiar with Cynthia Rothrock.
So let's go there. I did watch the Art of Action episode with Rothrock again. It is again one of the best of that series, that YouTube series, Scott Adkins YouTube series. Definitely watch it. Did you happen to watch that by any chance?
I didn't know.
Oh my gosh,
really
you'll love
should.
it.
Yeah, she's great.
You'll love it. Do you know where she's from? Where she started out at?
I know that she was a competition martial artist from like 81 to 80 something. And she only wanted to do it for a certain amount of time because she wanted to be like undefeated. She had this whole thing about like being undefeated in something that she was doing.
Yes. In fact, I don't have the freaking category either, but she was #1 in the world for those 5 years.
Weapons and something. It was something else, but she was, the best in the world for
5 years. Yeah, she set a goal for herself, much like I will set a goal for myself in like video games, where I'm like, okay, I'm going, like, it's not even a goal, but I'm like, I'll do this in a video game, you know, and then when I'm done with that, I'll be finished. She did that with being #1 in the world at martial arts in some way for 5 years. So, you know,
yeah,
it's up there.
It's weapons and something. Like, she was super, like, I know weapons were involved, but I don't remember what the other part was.
But she's from Scranton, Pennsylvania, dude.
Well, she might be the Scranton Strangler. That's why they couldn't catch them. And
I see her as a bit of the bridge gapping there with Speakman, who we talked about for The Perfect Weapon. But unlike Speakman, and much like many other action movie stars of the era, she got her start very, very, very young. Because she lived in Scranton. She's kind of the, this is just going to get worse, but the Rodney Mullen of martial arts, where she grew up in such a small do-nothing town that she picked a thing. You know, Rodney Mullen picked skateboarding and just killed it for his entire life. She chose martial arts and did the same. At some point, Hong Kong came a-callin' and reached out to her company. She was not in movies yet, but they reached out. Again, this is of the time when movie people went about finding martial arts experts and turning them into actors instead of the other way around.
Yeah, the smart way.
And went to her company and said, hey, we're looking for the next Bruce Lee. And they said, okay, we'll send you some guys. Also, can we send you a girl? And they said, well, okay. And sure enough, after that tryout, there, Corey Yen, who was there, who also goes by Yen Kuei, part of the confusion I had early on, chose her. He was like, we want the girl. Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that movie became Yes, Madam. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, that's her first one. Yeah, and I actually have that one.
It is a freaking blast. If you haven't seen the final fight, you can just go watch that final fight.
Her and Michelle Yeoh.
Michelle Yeoh, I want to say, was actually her first movie as well.
I don't know. I don't know that, but I know that those two are together in it.
So Michelle Yeoh started out as a dancer. So I want to say she definitely might have been her first martial arts movie, which I could also be wrong. But in any event, an excellent piece for both of them. And at that point, she had the connection then with Corey Yuen. And it's funny because hearing Cynthia Rothrock talk about it, she's like, they asked me to be in the movie. And I was like, okay. But up until then, she had only seen Hong Kong movies as period pieces, which because up until then, they just about were. And one of the reasons I wanted to mention that class from those 7 Little Fortunes from the China Drama Academy is because that was essentially the new wave of Hong Kong cinema.
That's
like,
funny.
Those guys are it, largely speaking.
That's that funny equivalent. The real equivalent to that is the directors that all came out with Lucas. Was Lucas, Spielberg, right.
Kubrick might have been in
what's
there.
What's his name?
De Palma?
No, it wasn't Kubrick, but there was the guy who did Conan, and I'm blanking on his name. And the guy's just a total jag, but he's a great writer and great director. Anyways,
we'll look that up later.
It's that group of dudes. It's similar to that.
It's similar, except it almost seems like more of a break. And it's funny because reading up on it, they're like, some could say that even the wave is still in effect since Sammo and Jackie and everybody are still working. You know, they're still working actors and directors and all this. So it's funny to hear Rothrock talk about it because she's like, up until then, they were just period pieces. I was like, sure, I'll go be in one of those. And then it wasn't. And it's because unknowingly to her, she was the tip of the spear for this Hong Kong new wave that was set in, modern times, in modern places, and even took the Kung Fu still to the next level. So,
yeah.
Yes, madam, go check out that final fight. Absolutely. Righting Wrongs happens, my gosh, is it the next year? It's very soon thereafter. And I want to say it's under the same contract that she had. She signed up for 3 films. But in between Yes, Madam and Righting Wrongs, she's training and blows her ACL. Like, severs the freaking thing, apparently. So not only two things happen that are just unbelievable to me. She does all of Righting Wrongs on the opposite foot. She just switches. And I bet there's some amount of ambidexterity that goes along with learning martial arts, but shoot, man, like
that's still like you unless you've been living life like that, you're favoring a side, like
it's crazy.
That's discipline like crazy.
But also she eventually went to have surgery on her ACL, and they were like, we can't find it. Like, your hamstrings and muscles have adapted to such an extent that we can't find your ACL, and we don't think you need it anymore.
She is a mutation.
I'm telling you, man.
Dude, I bet her leg is like that kid in Rookie of the Year.
Funky butt loving.
He's funky butt loving. Her leg is funky butt loving. Somebody call the Daniel Stern. Get Gary Busey on the line to talk to Cynthia Rothrock. There's a convo that needs to happen.
Oh boy.
Cynthia. I hear you got something wrong with your leg.
I'm glad you had a Gary Busey in your pocket. We all should.
Gary Busey in your pocket is definitely a product. It's like you need to pull it out, and you have those squeezy things that you use for stress. This is one where you squeeze and it just goes, don't do it. And it's just a reminder to not make poor choices.
That would be the Being John Malkovich movie that had Gary Busey instead, right? A Gary Busey in your pocket. Anyway, so on watching Righting Wrongs, keep that in mind. She's on her bad foot and she has no ACL on her other one. So
all I've got right now is Indian in the Cupboard, Being John Malkovich, and Gary Busey in your pocket. It's a trilogy that we didn't know we needed, but I'm telling you. Okay.
Its own Lucky Stars trilogy. Oh, which, by the way, that's where that name comes from. I know we mentioned that real quickly, but that 7 Little Fortunes is kind of a play on the Lucky Stars or 5 Lucky Stars trilogy. Anyway, so
blown ACL.
That's Cynthia Rothrock. I think we've gotten her here at this movie.
She's amazing.
I talked a little bit about Yuen Biao, and he does appear in a series of films. His most popular ones are starring with his two other brothers, Jackie and Samo. Project A, Meals on Wheels, Dragons Forever. There it is. I found it.
Sounds like a song from Saved by the Bell.
But Biao is known for being a little more acrobatic even than Jackie Chan.
Dude.
Apparently there's a biographical movie about the Seven Little Fortunes, but Jackie has also written a book or several books where he mentions the very same. Apparently the legend with Yuen Bao is that his master went up to him and said, do a backflip, him having never done a backflip before. So he did a backflip first try, no problem, which I don't know if you've tried. But
once when I was very young and it hurt.
Going down the stairs? No, sorry.
No, that was a front flip, you idiot. And I succeeded once again. I just didn't land it perfectly like Olympic style.
So tell me to shut up any moment. I think that gets us safely to the film here, Righting Wrongs. You have some experience with, I would dare say, have seen before, even unlike me.
I have not seen this movie before.
Oh,
however, what I wanted to bring up was this movie lands in kind of this perfect spot for me. It has a sentimentality to it for me that like is unwarranted for a movie I've never seen, but it's because the movie was not unlike so many movies I would stay up all night long over the weekends, all night long over summer, watching cable or watching whatever I could on TV whenever we had it. And these were the movies that were always on with stuff like this. Like, that's how I found out who Cynthia Rothrock was. So I found out who any of these martial arts guys were, anything, because they were just on TV. And so I, as soon as this started, I am totally wishing I had watched this at like 10 p.m. and I was just kind of bundled up with my stuff and just watching a movie with like my popcorn. But
which is actually the other reason I feel like this kind of bridges the gap is because we've mentioned several times about the VHS shelf.
Yeah.
This would have ended up there, but kind of before the explosion, before, and we'll get to this as well, Cynthia Rothrock kind of became the queen of VHS.
China O'Brien, baby.
Right. There you go.
Yeah, so I love how this movie immediately starts off with no information, just assassinations, go. And we are immediately throwing cars at a guy. We are shooting guns at people. We're snipering. And the movie is just like, hey, guess what? School and teachers, because they kill a professor, So,
well, that's true. It was his law professor.
It's his law professor. Yeah,
they're in New Zealand somehow. I think they had to film actually some of the action there, so they just also set it there for the opener. But get this, because he foils what seems like several different plots, but it's also on the same guy. So I mapped it out here. If every avenue had succeeded, this would have been the entirety of their plan to assassinate this law professor. They were going to shoot him on the steps, point blank, right? They had the guitar player had a gun.
It was an accordion player, which, by the way,
okay.
That my favorite.
So much better.
No, this is great too. I want to point this out. So the accordion player is sitting on the ground at first, and he's got an accordion that has a metal casing that he uses to alert the sniper to take his shot.
Which is the second. They were going to shoot him point blank. There was also a sniper on the rooftop.
Right. Then they had like 2 cars waiting.
Yep. With machine guns in each.
Right.
So if all of that had succeeded, that was the assassination. You don't get any feeling that this was a plan ABC here. It was just all going to happen at once.
Well, and my favorite part is that outside of the cars hitting him and the initial guy with the accordion player with the pistol, who, by the way, again, he's sitting there playing the accordion, and then the camera kind of goes to his hand where he's holding this giant pistol. Like, it's not a small gun. It's like a long barreled pistol.
Yep.
That's how our hero knows he has a gun.
Biao sees it just straight up, can't miss it.
The
Really.
accordion player is standing there with the freaking half this barrel pointed out from the side. He's like, hey, what are you guys doing up on these steps? Listening to accordion music, huh? I'm not going to shoot you.
But he does. He does, though.
He does. And then
That's
the
the
snipers shoot, but he misses because he's the only one that doesn't succeed. The sniper shoots the guy and he falls down. Then
True.
the machine
Machine
gun
gun
dude
guy
pulls up
and does it.
machine guns the crap out of this professor, all the while leaving this guy who's been attacking his friend, who's now just sitting there alone. They're like, no. We're humane about this. We're only here to kill the one guy.
You know what? That first guy does connect, though. His bullet pierces the Book of Law. Am I mistaken?
That's
Yes.
right, because that is the...
Yes, which does fall to the floor and is also trampled in the kerfuffle.
It's trampled
Yes.
upon, yes.
It's fantastic.
I thank you for pointing out the where the entire movie goes, motive, plot, here, go.
But this is still within the first 5 minutes, and they are not done, right? A car chase ensues.
Yeah.
He chases them to a bridge that is, of course, in the middle of opening, and I believe overtakes them only to look behind him and shoot their car while it's flying over the bridge, lands upside down, I think explodes once, but not enough, turns around, point blank shoots the gas can, I'm assuming, to also make the car explode even bigger.
Right.
We are not done.
No.
Cut to the revenge, or I guess maybe related crime, of man impersonating police officer who goes up to an apartment full of children and blows it up with a bomb. And not before we see... Oh, no, he also shot a bunch of the parents first.
No, he shoots all of the adults in front of the children, closes the door behind them while the kids are crying about their mom being dead, sets a bomb. And now here's what's funny about this, other than all of that. I love this. It's like, this is a moment where they're like, we don't have the money to show a building exploding. We only have enough to show an explosion. So how do we do this? Okay, got it. Film a high rise. The guy's at a high rise. Never show him looking off the high rise building. Only show him looking up at it. When the explosion happens, make sure we superimpose the explosion as it's fading away with the camera panning down so we can't see the top of the building.
Oh, I missed this.
Yeah,
interesting.
They totally could not do any of it. And then the cut to
movie magic.
The cut to the explosion is also frigging hilarious, because the guy plants a bomb and it's like they went, okay, boom, and then somebody went, was that it? And they were like, did you want more? Yeah. Okay.
Just blew up a bunch of children.
Boom. And then it gets bigger and bigger. And again, still, nobody seems to notice this.
And if it seems like we're making fun of this movie, we are 50% not, because
I loved it.
The movie very obviously has a point of view. It has a message it's trying to portray. It's trying to tell us that crime has run incredibly rampant, is extremely brutal, because we're setting the stage for Biao's character. Basically, he's a lawyer turned
vigilante,
vengeance turned Batman, essentially.
He's Daredevil, except he can see.
Okay, you're right. That was a way better comparison. And he has money, though. He's not like, this isn't Hell's Kitchen. Like he's a rich dude up in his high rise.
He's like Moon Knight.
Okay, see, I haven't. I'm looking forward to reading up on that before the thing that we can't possibly start talking about right now. But I didn't know that. Okay, he's more like a Moon Knight.
Yeah. Hey, check it out. New run.
Oh, that's pretty.
It just started. New run.
Oh, I've heard that's the run. He's holding up a Moon Knight comic, everybody. Yeah. I heard that's the run that quite possibly the Oscar Isaac stuff is going to take from. Is that correct?
I have no idea.
Okay,
all I know is it's a new run.
It's a new run. Cut to Cynthia Rothrock arresting a bunch of guys in perfect fashion, using kung fu,
dude.
but also for the charges of attempted murder, dope pushing, assaulting, kidnapping, and quote, looking disgusting.
Looking disgusting. They were ugly. I want to point out that, okay, going back just a moment to what I was saying about how these movies were, like, this type of movie was kind of that perfect thing. When I was waiting for the right scene in this, I hadn't seen it. So I was waiting for the right scene to go, hey, Beth, I got to show you Cynthia Rothrock. You've got to, like, because she doesn't know who she is. And,
Ooh, boy.
and I was so jacked that the opening scene of her beating the crap out of the guys in the restaurant for one, or in the mahjong parlor for one. But number two, the whole thing with her doing the handcuffs and then catching the one guy, catching two guys, getting three, now four, and handcuffing all of them together and one of the guy's feet. And then the guy's standing there going, this is police brutality. And she turns and then kicks the guy whose foot is handcuffed. Right. So they all fall down. Like, perfect. It's so good.
I don't know how you would have chosen one fight, honestly. I'm assuming that you just then said, hey, check this out for every ensuing fight after that.
It was literally just, I just want you to see how cool she is. And Beth was like, okay, that's kind of rad.
It is. It's great. And that's the other part of the story, right? So Biao becomes Batman, kills a guy, one of the guys responsible for killing all the children. And Rothrock is the investigator charged with finding out who the murderer is, So she's by the book. He's obviously operating outside the law, and they butt heads.
They're on a collision course.
They butt heads for most of the movie until they come together at the end to defeat the bad guy and many others.
This is when Corey Yun shows up and Cynthia Rothrock takes him under her wing. And at that moment, I love that he dumps out what appears to be some kind of fast food, and that's like greasy barbecued.
Yeah,
like
it's meant to be absolutely gross.
It looks like barbecued squid and stuff, and then he's like jamming it in people's mouths, and then there's like they've got a guy who's been brought in for. He pinched a white girl's butt. And then the guy's like, why do you want to pinch white girls' butts anyways? They're huge and they have freckles everywhere. And all the while, Cynthia Rothrock is standing behind him and he's like, not you, but most of them.
Because he thinks she can't speak Chinese, which I know it's not Chinese either. In fact, I don't know if this movie was done in Cantonese or Mandarin. I don't know. Just one of the many things I'm being disrespectful about.
She does speak languages.
Yes, he thinks she doesn't speak Chinese, which, strangely enough, she does not. She did all of these. In fact, I've seen differing reports that she spoke in English and they dubbed her in Chinese. I mean, the whole movie is dubbed, as were a lot of movies from this era, obviously, kind of no matter what. They just always did that, after the fact.
Right.
She didn't, but they still gave her the Chinese words to say. They just... when she couldn't say them, said, nah, it's fine. It doesn't matter.
Right.
In fact, she talks about going to Yes, Madam and not knowing that they were not shooting sound. She's like, oh, I messed it up. I got to do it again. She's like, no, we don't shoot sound anyways. And she's like, oh, okay. And
she's like, way easier then.
Yes. But yeah, great introduction for Bad Egg, for Corey and the director there.
Super funny.
And great character overall throughout the story.
He is. He's fun. Yeah.
I should have mentioned back when we started talking about the action that the action is directed kind of which is the other problem I think I'm running into with IMDb, where they very much play by union rules, I'm sure, which isn't a bad thing, but we're talking about films that very much did not have unions.
They were, yeah.
And, whereas the States might have an issue with calling somebody an action director if they're not actually directing, like there's that big controversy with casting director where they can't have an Oscar because they can't be a director or however that goes. I don't know. So a lot of the times I'm looking at, these bad kind of, I think, union translations of what they're actually doing. But it sounds like Corey Yin and Yin Bao did the action direction both themselves, kind of together. So
some amazing stuff in there too. Like it's
and not just Cynthia Rothrock
no,
stuff.
no, not at all.
When I say Biao is known for being a little acrobatic. Like,
dude, he has some crazy fight scenes
and holds his own, man. Like,
Totally.
I'm
Super
disappointed
good.
that I did not know more about him before this movie. I had been seeing his name over and over and over since I had been starting to read up and go through all these movies. But the fact that I didn't know him.
But the fun thing now is that you get to go back and watch the entire.
Yes.
Like,
Oh, yes.
You get to go back and fight. So
Yeah, after this and Corey Yuen, I just have like 5 more movies on the list. As far as the rest of the movie goes, it is a simple plot.
Yeah.
But I love its execution. There is, we kind of make fun of the bullet going through the law book and it getting trampled, but that comes back later. It's still the law book he reads, that
Right.
Bial's character reads, and there's this great conversation between him and I think it's the mob boss. It's been a week since I watched this, and it's already just frittering away. But where they're talking about the train set and like if a train crashes, that whole
yeah.
It's not quite the Heat conversation, but it almost is.
It's really close. That's really, really good. Yeah.
And it's just fun. Like it's a perfect way to do that in this movie.
Yeah, and the way everything gets set up for the set pieces, for the action pieces is great. Like it all flows together really nicely. The fights are extremely Hong Kong. They're extremely like it's organic when they get into the fight, but then every Hong Kong action movie that I can think of, everybody has that like series of moves, then there's the pause. Series of moves, pause.
There's a rhythm. It's a dance.
Yeah.
Like there is actual choreography.
Definitely.
And the reason I think why it seems so organic too, this Hong Kong way that you're talking about, I'm surprised I haven't talked about this yet as well, but there isn't a lot of choreography that goes on beforehand. Much of it is worked out on set in an inventive way based on what the set is, where they've come into. And you're right, the direction is very Hong Kong. It's perfect.
Yeah,
but it's also super inventive. Like I would put the action in this film up against any Jackie Chan movie.
This movie totally, in terms of that kind of stuff, like maybe this is just where I sit and where I've been, but to me, this is an under the radar movie, man, that should be way more talked about in terms of, people talk about how great Jackie Chan movies are. Yeah, this is definitely up there, man.
It is a ton of fun. In fact, it seems our listeners, as always, are more up on it than we are. Jake did clue us in on the alternate ending even. In fact, were you aware of this bit?
No.
Okay. We'll get there towards the ending. Might actually take some time out for you to watch it. But yes.
Yeah. So what was the alternate? And by the way, one of the things that I love about these movies is that they just end. Like once the thing that once the thing they are looking to achieve has been completed, movie over. Like there is no denouement garbage. There is none of this. Oh, well, we better not give Chewbacca a stupid medal, but everybody else gets one. No, none of that. It's just Death Star exploded. Okay, credits, done. Get out of the theater. I love it. This movie, and here we go. I'm going to spoil it right now. Here's how the movie ends. Bad guy gets into a plane. They screw with the plane. Plane crashes. Boom. In water. Dead. Movie over. Black screen.
He just dives out of the plane.
He died. Yeah, that's it. Done. Out. Dead.
Which, I mean, depending on I think he was probably too high to just dive. I think he probably still needed a parachute, but who knows? But I think when we get to the alternate ending, we're going to have even more to say about movies just ending. But a couple other highlights that we would have to mention. The fights are inventive. They are well directed. They're also freaking brutal, man. Like people fly.
Oh yeah.
In this film.
Also, something I did love about this movie, and I'm going to call this out because I think it goes underutilized. Look, we all know you kick a dude in the crotch and you've got some free shots coming. I appreciate that this movie, not once, not twice, but thrice, Cynthia Rothrock gets kicked in the groin. Like she takes it right in the crotch.
Yes, madam. She gets one too, actually.
You know what? But it would still hurt. It hurts.
Oh, she also touches upon that in her Art of Action episode, that it does in fact still hurt.
Yeah, maybe in a different way from us, but boy, oh boy,
brutal. And that's the least brutal thing that happens in this. There's another fight that goes on between. So when Rothrock does finally join up with Biao and they're both out to get the bad guy, she is, let's say, kept up by a female assassin.
Karen?
Who takes a kid. Yes, Karen.
Karen the assassin?
Oh, Karen Shepard. It is, actually. An accomplished martial artist in her own right. Funny story with that we'll get to. But yes, she takes a kid hostage. So Rothrock, of course, shows up to save the kid, but doesn't. Kid gets it, throat slit.
Yep.
That kid's gone also. Remember, we blew up children at the beginning of the movie.
That's right.
But then she does get in a fight with Karen Shepard, and it's great. She takes off her like incredibly 80s metal belt and uses it as a chain whip throughout the fight.
Oh, it's so cool. It's such a good fight. I love that too, because they're chasing each other, and then they get to a moment where they're finally going to fight. They're squaring up, and then something makes noise or something happens. So Karen looks off, and in that moment where Karen looks off, Cynthia Rothrock takes off this like bright pink jacket that she's wearing that's like at huge shoulder pads. She's like, okay, now I'm ready. And I'm wearing my crazy big shirt. It's nuts. It is super 80s and amazing.
It's wonderful. But apparently Karen Shepard had an issue at the time with dying, which she's already appearing as the bad guy. So I think it's kind of funny, but apparently for sake of her image, she said, I'll do it, but I can't be killed. And they're like, okay. So there's that, I believe, a moment where she runs away during the fight. That was supposed to be the end of it. Corey Yuen just said, okay, thanks for shooting. See you later. And then filmed her death with a stunt double. So
directors,
she dies. And then we're kind of in the final fight, which, by the way, the ultimate bad guy is the police inspector. He's been playing both sides. They finally match up against him, and he, gonna spoil this, but seriously, watch the thing, kills Rothrock. Freaking, and her name is Cindy in the movie.
Cindy.
She dies.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming, man.
Nope.
This movie does not care. Like, everybody is getting it. This leads into the Biao and the actor who was playing the superintendent, Melvin Wong, superintendent, police sergeant, I guess.
Super Nintendo.
Not school superintendent.
Super Nintendo Wong.
Super Nintendo Wong, which, oh my gosh, dude, that fight is so good just from every angle. And some of the angles straight up that they use are great. Like there's a 2-second shot where it's literally first person on Biao's fist. I think it's Biao's fist. It might be Wong's fist. But it's just this thing where like it's real quick and then we're back into it. I don't think I've seen that in just about anything else.
Right? Yeah. No.
And it fits and it still works. Like it seems almost like too flashy and it just adds to the whole thing. And still, like one kick, people are flying across the room. At one point, in saying that Cindy died, says, oh, she must have killed herself, even though I think they're looking at her and she's like, oh, she must have killed herself, which is obviously a joke. Like, you know, Biao is meant to know that he killed her, but she has a drill through her neck. So it's like, oh, she must have killed herself by putting a drill through her neck.
Oh man. She fell down an elevator shaft onto some bullets.
While drilling her neck.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, and then, it leads to that freaking plane fight, which I guess was guest directed by Sammo for whatever reason. This is in New Zealand, back in New Zealand. And after killing Superintendent Wong, Biao's way out of that airplane is just to dive into the water and movie over.
Yeah, movie over. Plane crashes. That's that.
Unless you watch the alternate ending. Do we want to take a time out here while you watch it? It's 2 minutes?
No, go for it.
Okay. All right. So pretty much everything. In fact, if you find the YouTube clip or if you see that tweet from Jake where he shared it with us, where I got it, most of it is the same up until the very, very end. It's like you'll watch like a 14-minute clip just to get like 2 minutes of difference there. But he dives off the plane and Cindy shows back up on a boat to rescue him. So she's not dead. So it must have had an alternate middle also at some point, it seems.
Doubt it.
Shows up, picks him up out of the water. And then the very next scene is him behind bars and some VO being like, you've been sentenced for however many years for manslaughter. And that's how the movie ends.
They should have gone with that.
So I'm going to say objectively worse ending.
You are
there.
objectively wrong. That is you. This is why you are not making movies in Hollywood, dude. You and the editor who made this movie agreed, and you're both wrong.
But I guess the test screenings didn't go great. It was too downer of an ending. So they did an ending where they both survive.
There were test screenings for this movie.
Yeah. And he also gets his comeuppance for operating outside the law, is what it is. So happy ending all around.
Yikes.
Yeah, obviously, I think the ending they went with was the better one. Call me crazy.
I won't do it.
Or unfit for film. That's either way.
I will not do it. I will never do that. You are more fit for film than I've ever been.
Watch Righting Wrongs, also known, I guess, somewhere as Above the Law, which is probably a more appropriate title, regardless of Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal's Above the Law is pretty good, though.
I will give it 99 stars, as you might imagine.
Out of 94.
And then let you know the fate of everyone involved in this movie. Yuen Biao goes on to work in TV, it seems, largely, but also behind the scenes, action directing, etc., etc. He's still around, still doing his stuff. I'm sure you'll hear about him again from me, from either Meals on Wheels or Dragons Forever. He also action directed Shanghai Noon. Apparently Jackie Chan will bring him over for some of his stuff, and he brought him over for that. So
That's
he was
cool.
the action director. Yeah, in Shanghai Noon. Cynthia Rothrock, of course, we've already mentioned, went on to become kind of a VHS queen of sorts. Probably beginning with the one you mentioned, China O'Brien, which I didn't know this was still a Golden Harvest production. Like, that was still one of the movies under her contract. But she was then approached at some point. I want to say she obviously made a few more English movies, or maybe, it was they shot China O'Brien 1 and 2 at the same exact time.
Yeah. Oh, that's no surprise whatsoever.
I want to say they came out within months of each other.
Yeah, that stuff always happened. They always did that.
I haven't seen them. You can tell me if they're good or not.
Yeah, they're fun. I mean, they're cheesy.
Okay.
The first one, to my memory, is definitely the better of the two. It has the better action and everything. The sequel's definitely more hammy. It's a little more like, it's kind of similar to, like, weirdly Lethal Weapon. How the first Lethal Weapon movie is like almost super serious about everything. There's some stuff in there. Riggs is a little crazy, but it's mostly
dark.
Not, it's
yeah. Mostly
not funny. The sequel is funny. Like, there are jokes to it. And that's kind of the same thing. China O'Brien, the first one's a little darker. It's a little more straight edge. And the second one's a little funnier.
Okay. I mean, notably different from anything that we're talking about. It does, speaking of Perfect Weapon, I think is kind of probably still a step above that. It was slated for kind of wide and blockbuster release of sorts.
Probably.
But to speak of a little bit of the difference between those two, like when Cynthia Rothrock was questioned, do you want to do a movie in the States? She's like, yeah, I want to speak English, and they went from, I want to say, the final fight in Yes, Madam took them over a month worth of filming.
It's 2 minutes.
Just for that final fight alone. Like, this is part of the reason Hong Kong is the gold standard, is because they give the time, especially when it comes to action movies, they give the time to do it right. To there's a reason why it looks, I mean, yes, also part of that reason is because there were no unions or, laws.
Yeah, we don't
could say.
I won't say laws.
But then we get to movies like China O'Brien, and as much as we laud the VHS explosion there, they were given like days to do some of the action sequences in there. And Rothrock talks about some of this in that episode as well. But apparently at some point during many of her English movies, she was approached by William Friedkin. And he says, hey, I've paired up with the screenwriters from RoboCop and would like to put you in a movie with Sylvester Stallone. Mm-hmm. So she says yes and goes back to work on like China O'Brien 2 and is like, oh my gosh, but signs a contract. And I guess in the process, although it was, I forget how she puts it, pay or play, meaning that even though this film did not happen, she got more money than she had ever made before in her life. But also, under that contract, they didn't permit her to do any more Hong Kong stuff. So basically, the big movie falls through and she ends up doing kind of smaller and smaller stuff with people that want to take less and less time to do it until she kind of she doesn't disappear, but obviously
Yeah.
her movies do. Production.
Yeah, like her production totally, like in terms of how often she was acting, definitely.
Yeah. So
like shrank.
I haven't seen any of her real recent stuff. I kind of still want to, and she of course talks about wanting to bring China O'Brien back in some way, and I hope Scott Adkins helps her do it, because I would also trust him to do.
Sure.
Like, he knows what he's making, what he's doing.
Yeah. No. These are, look, you're not watching a lot of these movies for the depth of them. You're watching them because you want to see people who have been spending their entire lives dedicated to martial arts show them off in cool ways. Be real. I mean, and you want to see them do it with like explosions and guns and knives and.
Oh no, you're getting it next week's movie now. Just hold on 1 second.
Oh, explosions, guns, and knives. I'm in.
Corey Yun, the director, returns to a franchise he actually directed before Righting Wrongs. No Retreat, No Surrender.
No Retreat, No Surrender.
Which we have talked about on this show as well. But does No Retreat, No Surrender 2, which I've heard no relation to No Retreat, No Surrender 1 in many ways.
Just name only, baby.
It does that, and then goes on to do kind of like Yun Wu-ping, I guess, to maybe more of an extent, becomes action director for a lot of stuff you've heard of. Speaking of Lethal Weapon 4, X-Men, he does, again, on IMDb, it shows up sometimes as second unit, whatever, but he's essentially action director or choreographer for a lot of those movies. Until he comes back in a big way as far as I'm concerned, and this is one of the movies I'm looking forward to the most, like I've said in my big action movie list of watching movies I've seen before, but with new eyes, in new context type of way, you know?
Yeah.
In my eyes, I think he came back in a big way, directorially speaking.
With Herbie the Love Bug.
With The Transporter.
Oh, snap!
You were very close, actually.
Really? That's him?
Yep,
that's crazy.
Him.
Yeah, I'm super into watching that again.
So
I'm gonna check that out.
You'll hear about that, and then the last thing he directed was actually DOA. So,
oof, the video game.
Yeah, I don't remember that being great, but
Yegads.
So that's that crew. That's what happened to them. So I've just created an awkward middle space between rating the movie we've done the show on and the rest of the show. So now I don't know what to do.
Well, you also, what's the next movie we're going to do?
Oh, sure. I guess I could do that.
I mean, yeah, you could throw that one out there.
The next movie we're going to do, speaking of guns and weapons and whatever you said, is Wolf Warrior 2.
Wolf Warrior, the sequel.
Heard about this? Yeah, starting with the sequel. I mean, I will, of course, watch the first one before I watch the second one. But
I guarantee nothing. Wolf Warrior 2. I'm not going to lie. This is not going to have werewolves in it, is it?
I have no idea. I was going to say no immediately, but I don't want to put my foot in my mouth later.
Foot mouth.
I've heard the most recent thing I've seen on it, which, by the way, this is the highest grossing Hong Kong movie, I think, still to date. Certainly when it came out. That's part of the reason I chose it, is because it has made such a big splash. Apparently, it, quote, doesn't, and I'm sorry I don't have who I saw this from, but it was on Twitter, quote, doesn't work as a movie, but as a series of action set pieces is mind-blowing. So
I love it. Okay. I'm into it.
I guess we'll find out. I think Righting Wrongs and Drunken Master and Perfect Weapon work as a movie, absolutely, you know. So who knows? But this is kind of the modern example, I want to say, and I kept it with Hong Kong instead of coming back.
Dude, it's got Frank Grillo in it.
It might.
It looks like it does.
I know precious little about it.
Okay. It does not appear to be streaming, but it is available places to, like, it's not streaming for free, but it's available places to download. It's got to be. Like I said, this made the money, made the headlines, so I'm sure it's available in at least a little bit more of a way than usual. So come back next week for Wolf Warrior 2. And again, podcast at bookclubformovies.com, Facebook or Twitter, which, you know, when you canceled last week, I got a complex for at least a couple days where I'm like, oh, he's canceling because he really hates what I did to the website. No. So glad to hear that you just came to bodily harm and or some sort of
kidnapping situation with your place of employment. The website is different. It might change again because, again, I just kind of did it to throw it Matt's way and be like, hey, what do you think?
Yeah, it's good. It looks good. You did it.
Oh, so you have looked at it?
I did. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
no, you did a good job on it. I hate some of it. I love some of it.
Okay, good.
No. It looks good. It's good.
Oh. Well, so you decide, faithful viewer. It's at the very least easier to get around, and will change. I want to say domain-wise, maybe in a little bit, because right now it's still under 0 hit points.
Yeah,
but I mean,
we'll take care of it.
It shouldn't look too different unless we finally get a viable Twitter module going up there. But in any event, go check that out. You can also find more of what I've been doing on Letterboxd by way of those tweets. I think I've been retweeting most of my reviews that I do there as well.
Nice.
And do you have anything you'd like to talk about for the rest of the show?
I do.
Excellent.
Did you happen to, continuing on with this crazy action?
Yeah,
thing,
that's right. We get to kind of keep with the theme here for the rest of the show. I forgot.
Did you watch the 5 Deadly Venoms?
I did. You told me to, and I did.
How cool was that friggin' movie, man?
What amount of wrestling masks or lucha libre masks influenced your decision to watch this, really?
Honestly, this came up on my Netflix list.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Yeah, that was actually cool too.
It showed up as you might like this, and I went, I might like that. Sure. And it was totally I looked at the title of it and I was like, 5 Deadly Venoms. Yes. Why not? and sure enough, man, the movie starts off fast. The martial arts are great. The story is stupid fun.
It starts off being like, hey, there's these 5 students of a master that are gone, and you have to go find them. It's the master on his deathbed telling the last remaining, I guess maybe 6th Venom, but he's untrained largely.
Because the other Venoms have all turned evil.
Yes. Well, he doesn't know. Most of them are lost, but he's like, you have to go find them at the very least to restore the good name to this house because, yes, most of them have been off doing evil. So I was kind of expecting the entire movie to be just, I found this Venom, like the story of this Venom, kind of that, and that being the act structure until the end, whatever. But it actually wasn't. It was actually a pretty crafty little mystery that unfolded at a really good pace.
Yeah.
With, yes, some decent action. I'll say this about the action. At the very beginning, it was a little suspect because it does apply to each, and I guess it's based on the 5 traditionally poisonous creatures from Chinese folklore, or however that goes. But the styles are also kind of gimmicky in that way.
Absolutely.
The Kung Fu is a little gimmicky in that way. Centipede, he's super fast with whatever limbs he's deciding to use. But this is also the thing, is each one kind of has a gimmicky weak spot about it too.
No, it's a boss fight. It's great.
It is great. Do not get me wrong, but I think it occupies a different space than some of the stuff I've been going through.
Sure.
And I don't want to be on the side that's like, oh, this is serious Kung Fu and this is cult Kung Fu. I don't care about that. But if you had to categorize it, I think that's why maybe this hadn't come up in any of my mentions so far. I have obviously since read about it, and yes, it's out there, and it's, let's put it this way, the amount of references that this movie has from pop culture going forward is more than, I think, barring Jackie Chan, the other movies I've been talking about. Alone, we've got stuff from Tupac, Wu-Tang, ODB, for that matter, and I believe Power Rangers, of course, first and foremost. So
there was some Tarantino stuff in here too.
Yes, also
very clearly.
Is this kind of that cult, almost exploitation era or genre type stuff?
Sure. I loved it though. I thought it was
great.
I thought it was
don't get me wrong.
Super fun, really enjoyable. It's on Netflix for a few more days. Now, did you watch? I also watched. Do you have anything else on that?
No. That's it.
There was another one on there called 5 Elements Ninjas. Did you watch that?
Yes, that's right. No, I'm just glad that the algorithm is working, obviously, because now it's just, you liked numbers plus Kung Fu. What about this one?
Okay. Yeah, so this is a good one. It's a little bloodier. Like it's not gory, but they definitely do the bright red blood.
Yep.
This one you gotta watch it, man. It's also on Netflix for another couple of weeks or something like that. It's about basically two rival schools. One school is we they wear all white and we're the good guys, and then there's the other guys who are like, nah, we've got a Chinese samurai, and that's a different thing.
Really?
No, they talk about it. It actually comes up. It's the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, another one of those very similar to Five Deadly Venoms. Super fun though, man. Just
all right,
just the action in it, especially again, it starts off pretty quick, and then there's this entire bit where they have for, I want to say it was 10 or 20 minutes, it felt like, in a good way, where the two schools are basically meeting up, and the masters of the schools let's just get this over with, let's just fight now. And there's 20 minutes of the five students fighting each other in various ways, and there's the one guy who's real good with swords, and one guy who's good with he's got these cat hand things that are like knives on his hands, and there are a pair of brothers that fight. It's weird, dude. It's super fun.
What was the name again? Actually, sorry.
It's called Five Elements Ninjas. Five Ninjas.
Elements Ninja. I'm gonna do a quick, see if I recognize any names here.
Funny enough, I believe it was.
Oh, it's directed by the Five
guy.
Deadly Venoms dude. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So he himself was into the numbers plus.
He likes them. He's good.
Yeah. 1982. Okay, so I want to say this was after even Deadly Venoms. All right.
And then real quickly, I want to talk about two others.
Do it. I expect this to go a little long since we've taken the 2 weeks here. We got to catch up.
Gunpowder Milkshake. The
right
Netflix original has Karen Gillan, Lena Headey, Michelle Yeoh, Carla Gugino, Angela Bassett, Paul Giamatti. I feel like there's one or two other people in it.
One of these is still like the others, I guess.
Yeah, Paul Giamatti and Karen Gillan. You when they stand next to each other. it's
I don't know which one I want to kiss more.
Yeah, you're Nebula or Paul Giamatti. I don't know. So the movie, I super freaking enjoyed it, man. It's really fun.
Oh, good.
I want to see more of these characters again. I want to see more of this world go on. I want a sequel to this movie.
Oh, good.
I loved so many aspects of it. It is not perfect by any means. It definitely has I think it's a little long, but it's not overly long where I feel like the runtime is fine. It's just but there are a couple bits that drag a little bit.
Okay, I was going to say, because I think when you mentioned it midway through, you weren't this up on it.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. The fight scenes I thought there's some pretty great fight scenes in there. The one thing about the movie is it is super promoted the wrong way, because this movie is Jackie Chan. This movie is not serious. This is not Atomic Blonde.
Really?
Yeah. This is.
I mean, I haven't watched the trailer because you did kind of mention it's stupid, and I'm kind of steering away from trailers altogether anyway. But yeah, I everything I've seen of it, I never got the feeling that it was anything but
it is
that. So
way more along the lines of the Jackie Chan style of fighting than
it's tongue in cheek, man. Yeah, this
totally she totally uses she uses things the way Jackie Chan does. She ducks out of the way of things as like you've seen Jackie do. There's a great sequence in a bowling alley that's super fun. The one I think my biggest complaint with the movie, honestly, is the music that they use. I get what the director's trying to do, but it's not done well.
No, I Want to Be Your Dog by the Stooges.
No. It's
Sympathy for the Devil.
This is more along the lines of I'm shooting this balls to the wall action movie that's kind of funny, that's a little wry, that has some family stuff going on to it, and I'm gonna throw that kind of 80s retro synth pop music, almost Stranger Thingsy, like that kind of like, and it just doesn't really work where they try to use it. So, but overall, man, I like this movie a lot. I totally recommend take a watch. Your kid might like it. She might enjoy watching it. It's fun.
Okay.
Last one I got for you. Totally off the wall. Totally doesn't even fit in any of these discussions. There's a documentary called Beats, Rhymes, and Life: The Travels of a Tribe Called Quest.
Oh, wow.
Apparently this came out in like 2011. It's actually directed by Michael Rappaport. He doesn't play a whole lot into this, so if you don't like him but you're interested in Tribe, he doesn't figure into it very often. You don't hear his voice a ton. He's not really on screen a bunch. It's super interesting. They were a group that came together, like, and their popularity hit when I was pretty interested in hip hop and rap and stuff. And so Tribe was one of those groups that they resonated for me in terms of something about them I really liked. It's kind of like De La Soul too. They have they're real similar in their vibe and how they like, and I always dug them. And this was a cool kind of, it's basically about them. This is pre Fife dying, so like I said, it's like 2011, and Fife died in 2016, I think.
And didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, it's he died from complications due to
hip hop
diabetes.
Diabetes,
which actually plays a role in this movie. Like, it comes up, like we hear about it, the diabetes and how it impacted Tribe as a group and as friends and all that. So like pre him dying, like knowing where this movie ends up is kind of like, it's really sad, but it's a pretty well done documentary. It's a lot of it is done, it seems, mostly from the perspective of Q-Tip. So you're getting a little bit of a spin on like what was going on and who did what said who. But overall, I do feel like it's a pretty fair look at them from their perspectives. I just feel like Tip gets a little more time than anybody else does, but it's super interesting, man. And if you've never heard them, but you like hip hop, you like rap, watch this movie. If you know who they are, then you probably already know a lot of this stuff, but still watch it. It is a good history lesson for where a lot of stuff that is coming up came from. So, and you get some cool history from where they came from and what they got from and how they came about. And it's just super interesting. And it's on Hulu. So check that out. Yeah, check it out.
So I've been meaning to ask then somebody who has a history and knows and loves, because I very much respected and I'm sure know the radio hits from Tribe, but I was the dork that was like, Arrested Development though, which, I'll probably still defend to some extent.
Dude, Arrested Development was great. I like Arrested Development.
Yeah, I feel like the cool kids were listening to Tribe and De La Soul, like you said. But when they came back for Chappelle's SNL thing, what did you think?
No, it was cool. I mean, Tribe is Tribe. Like when they're together, it's like there's magic. Like they are.
Okay. So you didn't feel like they had missed a beat or were kind of, okay, all right. Okay, cool.
No,
I was curious because it seemed cool to me, but I had no frame of reference.
Yeah, no, I highly recommend. Okay. First of all, without Fife, it's a loss. If they're going to perform without Fife, it is
okay.
But without it still works. Like, they're still good.
All right.
But if you have any qualms or questions or thoughts even about, I don't know if I should listen to what I like Tribe, go.
I don't, but
go and immediately either download, go to YouTube and look up Tribe Called Quest, The Low End Theory, and listen to that from the beginning to the end, and then you will now be a Tribe Called Quest fan. That's how that goes.
Okay. Good advice. I don't shoot. Okay. I will mention these two. We talked about Rush Hour real quick, and I think I came down on the end of I liked it when I last saw it, however many decades ago.
Yeah.
And had just been coasting on, yes, I like that as a movie. Wanted to make sure. So I watched Rush Hour. And I do think I like it. I'll stay with that. In fact, I'll go against Jackie Chan on this one and say that I like the movie.
Haha, Jackie!
He does not like Rush Hour, it seems. Or any of them, I guess.
That's weird.
But it also does not seem like a Brett Ratner film. And I'm not like a Brett Ratner, historian, or I don't have a real good handle on him as a director,
You're not part of the Rat Pack?
Is that? It cannot be.
I think that's actually his. I think that's his production company. Actually,
no. I obviously hated X-Men.
Last Stand.
It was The Last Stand. Thank you. The third one. I think I enjoyed Tower Heist, if I remember. That's what it's called, and that's like the all I got besides Rush Hours. I don't think Rush Hour, the first Rush Hour, really feels like a Brett Ratner movie at all. And I'm probably wrong in some way. I also looked it up because I wanted to be, vindicated in like somebody gave it to him and he was like, okay, I'll direct it, but had no background in it. But I guess that's not true. Apparently he went and pitched the film himself to Jackie Chan. But I'm thinking if he had to pitch it, and this is all just conjecture at this point, Jackie Chan obviously brought his team with him. Jackie Chan certainly wouldn't have been doing a movie with any but his team, because the thing is also filmed like a Jackie Chan movie. It's Hong Kong style action direction for all intents and purposes. We're
sure
nothing's shaky cammed. He's not up close, so you can't see what he's doing. There's no cheats really. It's Jackie Chan being great. Which why wouldn't you do that? I wish I had a Brett Ratner movie like that to be like, why would you shoot Chan like that? Obviously.
Why would you shoot Chan like that?
Just let him do his thing. But he didn't. It's great. So I like Rush Hour. I think I'm still there. So take that for what it's worth. I guess.
Brett Ratner did direct one movie that I really, really enjoyed.
Okay. Maybe I should watch it.
You've probably seen it.
You ever seen Tower Heist?
I haven't. It's called The Family Man, though.
Family Man.
Yeah, it's got Nick Cage and Téa Leoni.
I was going to say Nick Cage, but I thought I was going to be confusing it with a freaking Weatherman again.
And Don.
And I think that's just what I always do with Family Man, is confuse it with Weatherman. So I was actually right in that I was going to confuse it with what it actually is.
You were. See, I'm with you. 5 stars.
Didn't know he did that.
Yeah, I really like that movie. That's a movie that I have watched. I saw it, oddly enough, saw that in the theater. Not real sure.
Oh, yeah. That doesn't seem like a wait in line type of
I definitely didn't wait in line for it, but definitely saw it in the theater. There was a point in my life where, like, during high school, basically, it was when I was working at the video store, I was either renting a movie, I was taking a movie home because I was working, or I was going to the movies. Like, I went to the movies all the time.
That's exactly what that is. That is, you went to the movies not knowing what you were going to see. That's the one you chose.
My favorite one of those that I will never forget. My favorite one of those, I still have never saw the commercial for it. Didn't know anything about it. Somehow we just went to the theater and went and saw, can we see The Matrix? Matrix.
Oh, wow. Oh, that was a good one. I thought it was going to be.
We did not. All we knew is that we were like, we like Keanu Reeves. Let's go see it.
Fair enough. And it worked. Hey, you know what? That was a safe bet. I'm not going to say you're some amazing clairvoyant for that one,
I don't
Matt.
know. I've only ever seen good movies. Wonder Woman 84.
Oh, you've only ever seen good movies, huh? Did you see this second movie that I've seen, Double Dragon?
Yeah. With a Bobo and weirdly kind of hot
Mark Dacascos.
Alyssa Milano. And he's not weirdly hot. He's always hot.
You're
Mark
right.
Dacascos.
That was unfair.
And then the other guy was Scott Wolf from like Party of Five or something, right?
Yep. My wife called that one. I did not make that connection, actually. And I had never seen it before. I feel like you've talked about it most recently. So
it's silly as all hell. I'll tell you that much.
Well, I considered just maybe not mentioning it ever, because
for the same reason that none of those actors.
I feel like it's a so bad it's good. Like, it's a known quantity. I feel like absolutely, until two things happened
You got to respect the practical effect work.
Sure, Abobo is great for some reason. But no, that wasn't even one of them. The two things that I'm like, okay, now I have to mention this stupid movie are that for their dystopic future, they have this news crew that consists of Vanna White, a tan man with the George
Siegel?
No, I can't remember last night. The dude who's known for being tan of all things.
Oh, George Hamilton. George Hamilton.
Thank you, yes. And Andy Dick with the weather. So they got dystopia right somehow. But then also that freaking moment where they're in a fight with is the girl the bad one of the bad guys is Girl with Whip that you'll recognize from the video game. I don't know if they've actually named her Poison in the movie.
I thought her name was Lydia.
Is it? Okay, yeah, I guess IMDb is a thing.
But that might be it. But I don't know. I like that this has been so long since I've both played and seen.
I might be getting so this is the other thing too I should mention is that there are, I don't know if you know this, many old Bandai or Tecmos games in kind of the re-released, fake cabinet fashion looking video games on Xbox that they do.
Yeah. Linda Lash, by the way, is her name.
Linda Lash, right. Poison I might have the wrong beat 'em up even with that. That might be from Final Fight or something. But no, me and my daughter have been going through all of the Double Dragon. In fact, Renegade even we played. Oh no, Renegade was a one player, but I played that. In fact, Double Dragon 1 was a single player as well, or it does the multiplayer where one person plays and then when they die, the second person plays.
That's like stupid. I'm pretty sure you could always play that multiplayer.
On the cabinets, I bet, but these are actually the NES ones. Also weird. Anyway, which actually makes the recreated cabinet part kind of fake too. Now that you think about it,
I thought you could. Okay, I thought you could have played.
No, yeah, Double Dragon 2, you can start to play both on the same screen at the same time, and then Double Dragon 3, you can also. But Double Dragon 3 is one of the hardest games I've ever played out of nowhere for no particular reason that I can see. So we stopped playing that. But yes, so then I was like, well, we should watch the movie. And at the moment where Alyssa Milano is fighting Whip Girl, who I guess is Linda Lash now, I know.
Yeah.
Linda gets the upper hand on her, looks her in the face, and says, now who's the boss? I'm surprised you didn't tell me this.
Dude, I haven't seen this movie in forever, okay?
Oh, I thought you watched it recently for some reason.
I wish I had.
Yeah, anyways, when that happened, I'm like, oh, wow, because it doesn't even... Like, when the movie is so brave to be like, let's reference the TV show that this stars from.
Yeah,
I want to know, like, I want a book written about that part only.
I want to hear Alyssa Milano's memory of that movie.
Yeah, exactly. I want to hear the story behind that where somebody's like, I'm thinking of doing this. And she's like, no, please don't. And she's like, well, maybe I will. And then she did it anyway. Yeah, it's the righting wrongs Karen Shepard moment where she's like, okay. And then they did it.
I want her to sit down with Thomas Jane and get her mentalized and have her like
okay, you're still watching that show, huh?
We haven't gotten to Red John yet.
The quote unquote ending. That's good. TV volleyball, everybody. That's it. Those are the only two that I'll mention for now.
All right, great. Next week, what are we watching again?
Wolf Warrior 2, the sequel to the Wolf Warrior 1. Which in Breaking with Hong Kong tradition, yes, that's how it works now. The first one, like going through so many of the different titles for so many of these other films, because there's like, now I want Inspectors Wear Skirts, like all these other Rothrock movies, freaking Blonde Fury, but they're all called different things in different places, and sometimes they're given the name of a sequel. Like Blonde Fury is called Above the Law 2, like where it was marketed as the sequel to Righting Wrongs in some places.
Because her name is the same in a bunch of those
also
movies.
Cindy. Yes, yeah. Yes, also that. Which is also her name in real life, so it all just...
It's the further adventures of Cindy.
But no, this next week will be the actual sequel to Wolf Warrior 1, so watch that too while you're at it. But Wolf Warrior 2. So come back for that on Book Club for Movies podcast at bookclubformovies.com. Again, the Facebook, Twitter, the website is new, is what I was actually going to say, so check that out. And we'll see you.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. We got some stuff in the hopper coming at you guys.
Yeah, you want to talk about any of that?
Not yet. We're getting there.
Okay.
Just calm down. Just reel it in there, Chester.
We already have. I mean, people know Loki and
I was talking more about like the life of the show and what we were kind of.
Oh,
we're talking about things. We're planning. We're moving forward.
Yeah, sure. Go visit the Patreon. Doesn't exist yet.
We'll get there. Give us money. Bye.